has reached critical level. Tempo has reached critical level.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another segment of Matters of the People, where we talk about all real issues that are not mainly being discussed through mainstream media. And more importantly, I am your host, AV, Automatic Victory, where we all win together through peace, love, and transparency. I hope everyone is having a very, very blessed day thus far in this lovely Tuesday. So I hope everyone is at home with blessed food, blessed water, have a roof over their heads and everything. Shout out to the two people that's actually in the live chat as well. Hey, what's up, girl? What's up, Janae's Corner? How are you? How are you? I miss you. I missed you. How are you? I'm glad that you are here. Yes, no worries. Thank you. Thank you. It has been a long, long time. So before I start on this topic, let me put out this disclaimer right now that I am a huge supporter of all people. I feel like everyone should be respected regardless on someone's sexual preferences or what they believe in, whether they want to be, heterosexual or homosexual, or even if they're trans or the case may be. Everybody should be respected within their own shape or form. As long as that person is not trying to force things on people, or the case may be, then it's all good. I'm well. I'm well. Good. I'm glad you're well. Now that we got that disclaimer out of the way, now that we got that disclaimer, I don't know anything about it. I just know how to be pretty. Oh, really? Oh, you just know how to be pretty. Stop it. Stop with the lies. Stop it. Stop with the lies. Look, you're doing some big things too. I've been watching a lot of your videos. Look, you just know how to be pretty. Come on. Stop with the lies. Stop with the lies. Stop with the lies. But no, on a serious note, I wanted to talk about this subject because stop laughing at me. So I wanted to, this is an issue that let me turn this light on real quick. There we go. Now y'all can see me. I wanted to talk about this issue of why there's such a rift between Black men and members of the LGBTQ community. And the reason why this has been an issue that I've been heavily researching on, meditating on, and really just been having on my mind a lot is simply because there is so much. I feel like there's a numerous of reasons and factors that go into say why so many Black men and members of the LGBTQ community don't get along with each other. There might be a lot of tension or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So spit it out. Oh, don't worry. I'm getting there. The rainbow community. Hey, stop it. Stop it. But no, you're right. So here's my thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to sum this whole live stream in several reasons. Reason number one of the reasons why Black men and members of the LGBTQ community do not get along with each other is the forced agenda. So I'll give you an example. Let's say a perfect example that you have, you have a lot of elementary schools and middle schools, or just numerous school programs that are more so in terms of story times and things of that nature, right? The issue with that is that you have some parents that are more liquid, they're more opening, they don't mind having someone come in and be the drag queen lesson in terms of understanding hey, this is how sex should be clarified and things of that and that nature. On the other hand, you do have some parents that are more so traditional or old school, whatever you want to call it, that are so anti-rainbow, anti-LGBTQ to the point to where it's oh, this is what y'all gonna be teaching my student, or this is what y'all gonna be teaching, my peers, or a case may be. So I feel like there are certain things where it's certain ways to where you can spread and teach people without having to have that forced agenda, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why, particularly with Black men in particular, because let's be honest, a lot of Black women, they don't really have that much issues with members of the LGBTQ community, or in your case, or at least in your I love how you said the rainbow community, Janae's Corner, because that's essentially what it is. It is a rainbow of all colors, of all unique people. So that is definitely one of the reasons why there's such a great conflict when we talk about Black men and members of the LGBTQ community actually bucking at each other or going after each other, or a case may be. I am a married lesbian, and we done have an issues. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm very, very happy for you and your wife. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like in our generation, so mind you, I was born in 1992. So I didn't really have I didn't really have the talk in terms of how to display different gender roles, or at least understanding in terms of how one can make their own distinction in regards to their gender or their sexuality, until I grew up to say me getting into the days when I was in high school, and then going from high school all the way to college. So luckily for me, I was raised in a household to where I had great peers to always let me know hey, Chris, this is some of the things that you have to be mindful for, you have to pay attention to. You always want to be respectful to all people, regardless of the differences or their opinions or how they want to live their life, as long as they're not going crazy about it, or a case may be. So I feel like that's one of the other reasons why you see so much of conflicts between Black men and members of the rainbow community, because there's such a lack of understanding and respect towards one another. Perfect example. If you asked a Black guy about a person that's trans, a trans man or trans woman, in case it be, I guarantee you that Black man is going to react in some hostility, on some hostile mood, or in case it be. 9 times out of 10, that Black dude is going to be like, nah, bud, forget that bud. No, forget that girl. That person's supposed to be this. He should be acting like this, and vice versa. And I feel like it's somewhat the same for people of the rainbow community Q. I do feel like that in some ways, some people of the rainbow community or the LGBTQ community don't necessarily try to respect where people that are heterosexual, or people that have grown up into that thinking of, oh, hey, this is the way that things should be, or a case would be. There's that lack of understanding in terms of where both perspectives are coming from. And more importantly, there's a lack of respect to where neither sides are actually able to have a meaningful conversation with each other in terms of having the conversations that should be had with all people. Because in my personal opinion, I feel like everyone should have these conversations so that they can actually get to the core of the problem, rather than just being like, oh yeah, well, this person is trying to, live this type of lifestyle, they're wrong. How the hell are you going to tell somebody how they should live if you never really experienced that, or if you never come to that realization for yourself? Don't be judging somebody else's life and how they want to live their life just because it seems so off the wall, or it seems so wild as fuck, as people like to say. My thing is this: you can't really try to harm or judge somebody by their own decisions unless you come to your own realization in terms of what issues or baggage that you have to deal with. And that's what kind of irritates me so much, is that we see all the time, whether it's through the news or social media, where it kids would be, we see so much media attention in terms of, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just Black men having a rift between, members of the LGBTQ community. It could be all types of heterosexual or just people in general. My only issue comes when there's people that don't try to understand where both sides are coming from, and more importantly, when there's a lack of respect towards each other. Now, I could be wrong. How do you guys feel about it? Because Janae's Corner, I know to your point, you are married to a woman, and I'm very, very happy for you and blessed. because I'm glad that you're in this live to where I actually just talking about, I'm not just talking about this issue by myself, but I'm actually talking about it with people that are not just members of it, but at least people who can relate to some of the frustrations that I have in this particular issue, whatever the case may be. So let me look in the comments real quick just to make sure that I did not miss anything. Let's see. Okay, I'm married. We don't have any issues. Good that y'all don't have any issues. Shout out to the 4 people that's in this live, though. I love it. Shout out to the 4 people in this live. Shout out. I definitely do appreciate y'all. Hey, what's up, Radical Productions? How are you? How are you, my guy? I ain't seen you in a long time. I have not seen you in a long time. Glad you were able to hop in the live, man. Glad you were able to hop in the live. Wait. Why? Oh, there's your comment. I was looking for your comment, Radical Productions. Not huge lack of respect. You're right. I'm queer, mixed race, white and Hispanic. And it's always interesting how I have to navigate my queer identity based on who I'm around. Right. You know what? Let me see if I can pin this comment. Or you know what? I'm gonna keep this comment right here. You just made my day, Radical Productions. To your point, and you bring up such a key element, right? It depending on where you are or your surroundings might have you, it shouldn't have to come to a point to where you have to be decisive. Not saying that, you don't have to be decisive or that you don't have to pay attention to your surroundings, because let's point out the facts. Most people that tend to be a part of the rainbow community or members of the LGBTQ community tend to have to fight for their life. To Radical Productions' point, it's gotten to a point to where people will literally go after people of the rainbow community simply because they don't, rather than them try to understand and respect it, they would spawn by fear. They would spawn by hatred. They would spawn by doing all this negative crap just because they don't want to take the time to at least understand your perspective, where a case may be. So I apologize in the sense that you have to go through that, because it's wild. It's wild as hell. It's very, very wild as hell. Hey, what's up, DJ Main Event? I ain't seen you, my guy. How you been, man? I've come to learn that a lot of issues in the Black community stem from slavery. That is true. And we're just perpetuated the impact of slavery throughout generations. Jennings Corner, wow, racial part. Yeah, man, yeah, exactly. Wow. But DJ Main Event, you brought up another great point in this live as well. I definitely appreciate you had it on to this live as well, because I was missing you, my guy. I was missing you. But this is the other issue with the rift of Black men and members of the rainbow community. To DJ Main Event's point, a part of it stems from slavery, and in terms of some of the things that naturally happen to Black people. So, in a sense, we can somewhat understand in terms of why there are certain Black people that I usually break it off into like 2 different distinctions. So you have Black people who are still pissed off about what happened to them during slavery, what is still happening to us during, modern day slavery, whether that's through the prison industrial complex, in terms of, black masculinity being attacked constantly, where a case may be. And rather than them like retaliate towards the people of the rainbow community, they still try to understand. They still try to be respectful. They still try to at least have good conversations with all people. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we as human beings are the only people that really can look out for ourselves. But then you also have the other group of Black people and people that unfortunately, instead of them actually try to like come together and try to understand, like, okay, how does it go from a person to want to make this transition of them like saying be a person and them being like, say, a trans or homosexual or whatever case may be, they do the complete 180, or excuse me, they do the whole complete 180 to 360. They go from understanding, or at least having like a few bad experiences with it, and then on top of it, they just go AWOL. They just be like, oh, this person wants to be a trans woman. I bet we gonna take them out. Oh, this person wants to be a career or a case may be. I bet where this person live at. We gotta take them out. And it's like, no. It's like, there's no, like, we can't get any progress without at least having that mutual common conversation with each other. That's my issue with it. Radical apology. No need to apologize. Not your fault. I appreciate this discussion because it's really not talked a lot, but there's a big intersection between race and queer identities. I agree. And I'm glad I was actually able to finally be able to be comfortable in talking about this subject, not just with you guys, but to just talk about this issue in such a great platform, because to your point, we rarely see that much interact. It's one thing to see like the constant, like, you know, going at it in terms of like black men or black people going against members of the rainbow community and vice versa. But we rarely see actual good, transparent, authentic conversations like this, where multiple people are actually able to spread their perspectives, you know, in a respectful and authentic way. And so I'm just glad that I'm part of that, one part of the few people that's actually willing to not only understand, but at least give my personal perspective in terms of how can we get it to a point to where we all can just love each other regardless of what we got to do or whatever the case may be. That's my thing. Janae's Corner says, but that doesn't mean it gives you an excuse to be an a-hole. Slavery is over. Stop. Whoa! I will say this. Look, DJ Main Event. Look, I will say this. You're right about it being a reason, or at least for it to not be. I agree with you in a sense to where it shouldn't give some people the right to be an asshole. However, slavery is still going on in here. It may not be the same slavery as it was, you know, when they had slave auctions and all that other crap. But it's still some underlying, you know, issues when it comes to slavery that not a lot of people talk about. But we will talk about that in the very, very next episode of Matters of the People. That's not now at all exact. Right. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. DJ Main Event. Slavery may have ended, but that doesn't negate the impacts that it and Jim Crow has had on our people. I recently visited the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis and learned some things about the impact of how Jim Crow is still felt today. Right. Point noted, DJ Main Event. Point noted. That's true at AV. Yeah. And by all means, no one is saying that. I'll say this too. And shout out to the 5 to 6 people that's in this live. I appreciate all you guys. No one is saying that, you know, that slavery is the reason why there's a rift. Now, obviously, it explains in terms of how people may react to a person's, you know, sexual identity or sexual orientation, or a case may be. But I will say this. I feel like another issue or another reason why there's so much conflict and why there's so much tension, particularly towards like black men in particular when it comes to this particular subject, because it all comes down to masculinity. Like, think of it like this. Black masculinity from all the way to say, I don't know how long, let's say the beginning of time, for example. For the longest time, it was so focused on you grow up, you take care of, like, say, your hunt, your family, yourself, you know, you provide, you know, all that great jazz for kids to be. You guys know exactly where I'm going with this. So we are now in a transition. Right. Exactly, DJ Main Event, that happening. So years and centuries later, that idea, that philosophy of the male, so to speak, from that role of being the provider, being the glue of the family, being the protector, that all, instead of it continuing to go up and up, or at least instead of it being like consistent as it was, it starts to not necessarily go down or decline all the way, but it starts to swift. It's almost like think of it as like a river, right? Think of it as like you have masculinity being like this constant flow of an ocean or a wave or a case of be. And as the years and centuries have gone around a way, it starts to swift. Like it starts to swift because of other social factors. People being more, social gender conscious about in terms of how they want to live their life, depending on the situation or circumstances. Some people are doing it because they actually feel that this is their calling. They feel like this is exactly where they need to do to live their best authentic life. Other times it might be the opposite. It might be a trend for some people. But because you have this constant wave that's been going on in terms of masculinity or a case in B, not only does that impact a lot of Black men's pride and a lot of Black men's, lack of understanding towards members of the rainbow community, not only does it impact that, but it also impacts in terms of how they go about their own daily lives. Because you got to remember, for the longest time, people have only been living on the social construct of a man was meant to do this and a woman was meant to do that. Now you have because when I was in college, mind you, I didn't have these talks with people and friends that I had that are part of the LGBTQ community until I was in last few years of high school going into college. Imagine if I had peers within my community that were able to really let me know early on in terms of hey, this is, in terms of how people go about that distinct line in terms of the whole social genders cues or a case would be. I feel like if we actually had more conversations like that, it would be less of people wanting to go head to head with each other and be willing to try to take someone's life or try to harm somebody's life. And there would be less of that. That's just my personal opinion. So that's another reason why you see typically when it comes to Black men having such a negative retaliation towards people of, the LGBTQ community, or in your perfect term, Janae's Corner, the rainbow community, simply because there's not enough people, or rather, there's not enough institutions, positive institutions that are focused on how can we get heterosexuals and people that are not heterosexuals to have these transparent, authentic conversations with each other without them actually having to go at each other's throats. That's the biggest reason, in my opinion, why there's going to continue being such a rift. Because you got so many people that have been raised so much solely on and live by, a man is supposed to do this and a woman is supposed to do that, that rather than them at least try to listen or actively listen and try to take something from the conversations from, say, people that don't live that particular societal norm or a case would be, they just refuse it. They just would rather just be like a rock and not really be trying to at least be respectful, or at least try to understand in terms of wow, we actually have, people that may live the type of lifestyle, but they're still cool. They're still great. I mean, shoot, I personally talk to everybody. Y'all know how I go about with my YouTube channel, even outside my YouTube channel. I talk to every single person that I possibly can, regardless of how they want to live their lifestyle, where a case may be. And it's I always tell people, as long as you're a person that is not trying to force things on other people or myriad of people, then anybody can talk to me or at least communicate to me. Because when I was growing up, I ain't gonna hold y'all, I was part of that. I was one of those Black men that'd be wait a minute, what the fuck? You're what? You're a man, but you're a trans woman? What the hell? What the hell going on? I used to be one of those people. And it took me a lot of time to not just get to the reality that it doesn't matter whether that person wants to live their life as that person, but it also took me some time to come to the realization that just because that person wanted to live their life as a trans woman or trans person or case it be, it doesn't mean that I have to conform, at least in a physical aspect. It doesn't mean that I have to live my life this way. It just means that I have to have at least enough dignity and respect to respect this person's lifestyle. And I feel like that's another reason why we need to have more conversations with each other in these particular types of issues. Because the less conversations we have about it, the more like we're gonna keep on running into this problem. Like that's that's essentially the reasons why I feel like there's such a huge like rift when it comes to Black people and the members of the rainbow community going at each other's throats. So that's my personal opinion. But shout out to the 3 people still in here. I definitely do appreciate you guys sticking with me and everything. As a matter of fact, I am going to drop the. So I'm going to leave in the comment section the invite link to actually join me in the live. So let's see if it works. Let me see, because I'm looking on my phone as well to see if it actually did it or not. It's not coming up on the. Okay, there it is. So if anyone has any opinions or any perspectives that you would like to share, just click on the StreamYard invite guest link, and I would be more than happy to interact with you. This is kind of like the part where I actually want to have people like come in and like, really get their perspectives in terms of like, the topic in hand, or the case may be. So feel free to just click on the link. Once I see you, I'll definitely hop you on to this live session, and we can just chop it up for like, let's see, I've been on this live for about 27 minutes now, for like good 10 to 15 minute, interaction with some people. Because this is definitely a very, very heavy issue that I feel like we need to have more conversations about, especially given within like the time frame that we're in as well. Like with, if I'm not mistaken, President Biden had actually had a few executive orders that were actually set in place to actually make life a little bit better for people of the LGBTQ community, which is great. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. But at the same token, we still have to be able to be willing to talk about, how is that not just impacting people of the rainbow community, but also how it's impacting all people. So you all's comments and thoughts. Let me go ahead and drink my tea. And I don't know why I'm so goddamn hot up in here. Maybe it's because I got this daggone big old black hat on. And now I'm gonna just make sure I have the comment. Yeah. So for those of you that are interested in hopping to the live stream, you just click this link that I got posted up on here. When you click on the link, it'll just ask you to like put in like your own display name. You can put that display name as whatever your display name wants to be. And once I see you, you just hop right in. We'll chop it up about this issue. Now, of course, no pressure. If you don't want to hop in a live stream, then that's perfectly fine. But, more power to those that actually want to hop in the live as well. So we got a comment from my boy, DJ Manitback. It takes education to get to that point of accepting other people's way of living. It does. It really does. Great point. That's a very, very great comment that you left. Very, very great comment. Because not only does it take, great education, and when I say education, I feel like some people get confused when they hear the word like education, right? Because when people hear education, like think about it. When we hear about education, a lot of people say like, oh, you have to get your education in terms of going to school and going to college. I mean, yeah, that's a part of education too. But education also means self-learned, self-taught, being able to teach yourself things, or rather learn things that, certain institutions don't necessarily teach you in college or school. So like knowing how to take care of yourself, nutrition, knowing how to, repair things. Like say if you got a flat tire, or if you got if your car won't start, being able to at least get a jump to your car, all the essential issues or case it be. But to your point, DJ Main Event, it does take education to get to that point of accepting other people's ways of living, because unfortunately, as great of a decent, or excuse me, I wouldn't say this is a great nation. I would say this is a decent nation. In the decent nation that we live in, the United States, unfortunately, we still have people that are so ignorant, blatant, and ignoramus to the point to where people, it's one thing to be ignorant and not just respect people. That's one thing. But when you're not educated, when you can't even use simple common sense or patterns of behavior that can, portray to a person that you really can't really have a decent conversation with somebody or people, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's my way of looking at it. But to your point, DJ Minivent, and I'm gonna actually put your comment back on here for a second. But to your point, it does take a lot. It does definitely take education to actually get to that point of actually embracing all people, regardless of their differences or their preferences. So let me see here. Let's see. I think I hit it up. I think I pretty much hit all my talking points for the matters of the people. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Looks like we get on to one person in live now. Well, if no one wants to hop into the live stream, which is perfectly fine, I will go ahead and end it here. I definitely appreciate the numerous comments. Actually, let me give shout outs to the people that have actually been in the live stream. So shout out to Janetti's Corner. Definitely shout out to her. I definitely appreciate you interacting with me throughout the live. Shout out to my guy, Radical Productions. Definitely appreciate you hopping on the live and, putting that knowledge out there for people, telling me in terms of how you live your life and in terms of you putting your own perspective on there. I definitely do appreciate you, Radical Productions, and speaking your truth and you giving me a great sense in terms of what you have to go through as a queer person. Because regardless whether you're queer or homosexual or straight, where it case may be, no one should be ready, willing to just want to take you out or at least be trying to harm you just because you're comfortable with yourself in the way in terms of how you embrace yourself. That's not cool, even for a straight person or any person. There should be no reason why anyone should be willing to try to take you out or at least try to end your life just because you live a certain way that you're comfortable with. So I definitely appreciate you, Radical Productions, in speaking the truth. And shout out to my guy, DJ. I am DJ Man Event. Definitely appreciate you giving your perspective and for you just really giving your perspective in terms of why this rift between Black men and members of the rainbow community is a huge issue, not just amongst Black people, but amongst all people. You know what I mean? So, okay, we got a new comment. I'm turning on my computer and giving myself to get logged on. Okay, yeah. Take your time, man. Take your time. But it's just, it's wild. It's wild, man. And at the same time, as I'm thinking about the issue too, it's just sad because you would think that in the time frame that we're in, with the way that in terms of our generation, people tend to be more, I won't say that people are likely to agree with each other, but the fact that our generation tends to be more fluid in the sense to where we may not agree with everything with a certain person or a certain group or a case it be, but at the same time, we're mature enough to agree to disagree. We may not agree with everything as a people of the human race, but we still have enough respect to kind of be like, hey, I may not agree with this person's lifestyle, or hey, I might not necessarily, like how this person goes about certain things or the life or a case may be, but I can at the very least respect that person and be like, hey, just because he's doing it doesn't mean that I have to do it, and vice versa. Just because, a person doesn't like the fact that I'm a straight heterosexual conscious black male in America, that doesn't mean that I can't be friends with this person and vice versa. So I'm glad that for the people that did show up into the live, and people like you, DJ Main Event, and Janae's Corner, and Radical Productions, and the other unique people that will probably watch this podcast on the playback, that hopefully we have people that can kind of take this podcast and really think it over through with themselves and just kind of be like, well, damn, like there's some real great, authentic, transparent stuff going on here. Like this guy is actually talking some real stuff in terms of how we can all get along with each other. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys. No cap. Definitely appreciate it. Cause you rarely have real conversations like this. So and don't mind me, y'all. I'm just eating some pound cake. I was starving. I couldn't help myself. Damn, that's some good pound cake. But no, I'm just glad I was able to sit down and actually talk with you lovely people on this topic, because DJ Main Event and Radical Productions and Janae's Corner, I'm not sure if you guys are still are on here, but I know I've been like MIA, missing in action, simply because I've been working a lot. And so most likely Tuesdays and Sundays will probably be the days where I'll do like my Matters of the People podcast, simply because those tend to be the 2 days that I could actually go about like doing my Matters of the People, doing my podcast, being able to upload videos and things of that nature. Safari doesn't support StreamYard. Man, see, I can't stand Safari. Oh, I can't stand Safari. It's okay, DJ Main Event. It's okay. No worries, man. No worries. But yeah. But no, I was just explaining to y'all how, like, my Manners of the People podcast will most likely be on, like, say, Tuesday nights or either on Tuesdays and Sundays, just because I've just been doing a lot of work hours, and with the likelihood of me getting promoted, hopefully within the next week or two, it's going to give me a lot more free time to actually be on YouTube consistently more. But Janae's Corner, if you're still on the live, you are way more than welcome to hop into the live stream with me and give me your thoughts and your perspectives on tonight's topic. Maybe there might be some perspectives or standpoints that I may have not have mentioned that you might have towards this particular topic of this podcast, because I definitely would love to get the perspective of people of the rainbow community, especially with this topic, and vice versa. That's so weird how Safari doesn't support StreamYard. What you on your laptop, DJ Main Event? Because I can't stand Safari. Listen, if it ain't Google Chrome or Bing, then I'm using I'm on Microsoft Edge now. If it's not one of those platforms, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it, man. But if no one is going to be able to hop on into the live, which is perfectly fine, I am going to end it here, because I do have another live session at 8:15 p.m. For those of you that want to come to that one, it's basically just going to be my reaction of All American episode 9 of season 3. Testify. Oh yeah, it's gonna be juicy. It's gonna be juicy, because I wasn't actually able to, record my live stream review of the episode last night when it premiered, simply because I was at work last night. So yeah, I got a lot to say about last night's episode of All American last night, but I'm gonna end it here. I want to give a few shout outs real quick. So shout out to Janae's Corner. Shout out to Radical Productions. Definitely appreciate you, speaking your truth and letting me know in terms of what you have to deal with as a queer person. No one should have to go through what you have to experience, and so I just want to let you know and let everyone know that is either watching this live stream or the people that's watching this the playback, that no matter what or how you decide to live your life, as long as you're going about it through peace, love, and transparency, no one should be coming for your life, or at least be trying to end your life, bro. Like, that shit not cool. So I appreciate that. And shout out to my guy, I am DJ Man Event. I definitely appreciate your counsel. I appreciate your comments in here as well. Definitely great to always have you on the podcast, just to speak your truth as well. So with that, the next episode of Matters of the People will be Sunday at 7:15 p.m. this Sunday coming up. So if you guys have any podcast issues or suggestions or topics that I should talk about on Sunday, please message me on my Instagram. That is the best way that you're going to actually be able to interact with me, because that's my only Instagram. As a matter of fact, I'm about to put this sucker in the tag on ticker so that people know, because I know some people have been messaging my phone or leaving comments in my video saying, oh yeah, well, I would love to talk more about you on this issue, but I can't find a way, get in contact with you. Okay, this is my Instagram. Okay, if you have any perspectives on any of my podcast, Matters of People, or even if you have some general ideas of topics that I should explore, please follow me and DM me at AVSipC. And again, that's AVSipC. Like, literally, that is the best way for you to communicate to me through social media. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and go because I literally have another live stream within the next, it's 7:57. I have another live stream within the next 15, 20 minutes. So if you guys want to stick around for that live stream, do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. So appreciate everyone that hopped into the live. And always remember, let's just make sure that we all are living through peace, love, and transparency. I'm AV. Stay safe. Stay blessed.